Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to Blade Bias. Hopefully you can forgive the late upload today. It's been a very busy time for me as Thanksgiving approaches. If you celebrate, I hope you all have a good Thanksgiving this week. I think I have Blade Bias this Thursday, so I'll see you on Thanksgiving. I'll hopefully remember to say happy Thanksgiving to anyone who celebrates in that video, but in case I don't, here it is now. Welcome back to the Blank is Weird series, where Ethan talks about whatever he wants. As long as he's flipping a ballad song, it applies to Blade Bias. Today, we're going to talk about Pokemon. Now, I've been very busy. I've had a lot of stuff to do since the game came out, but I finally got quite a bit of time to sit down and play with it over the course of the weekend since it came out. And as a very long-time Pokemon fan, my first ever Pokemon game was Diamond and Pearl. I bought Pearl secondhand from my cousin back in, I want to say, 2008 or something like that. And that was the first ever Pokemon game I played. Got Black and White 2 for my birthday maybe a year or two later, and then it was all curtains from there. I bought X and Y, Sun and Moon, Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon we don't talk about, Sword and Shield we really don't talk about. But I thought I would give it a try to go back to the old Pokemon series with Scarlet and Violet, because Legends Arceus came out earlier this year, and that was a phenomenal game. I absolutely loved Legends Arceus. And if you want more in-depth reasons as to why I love it, go watch a YouTuber named Arlo, A-R-L-O's review of Legends Arceus. It is a very long watch. It's like an hour, but he basically encapsulated everything that I loved about the game. It was a shake-up to Pokemon, shaking up the formula, doing something new. The gameplay was smooth. It was fun. It was open world. It was just the evolution of Pokemon that always was meant to be. Pokemon in this big open world. There's no random encounters. You go up and you see what you want to catch, and then there's shinies that you can hunt, or you can just fill the Pokedex, and it's just like, it's great. For anyone who likes online battling, though, it wasn't so great, because it didn't have that. So I was excited to get into Scarlet and Violet to see what they learned from Legends Arceus and brought over to the mainline games. Spoiler alert, not enough. Because if I could sum up Scarlet and Violet in one word, in one sentence, not one word, in one sentence, it would be, they've learned a lot, and they're changing up the formula in amazing ways. But they're also really clinging on to the way things used to be. Pokemon has always been a very formulaic game. All the games are this linear thing. Sometimes they're in 2D, sometimes they went to 3D, but that's basically the main change. You're in a new region with new Pokemon, so it stays fresh enough. But if you get bored of that formula... Holy cow, I'm just throwing this thing everywhere today. If you get bored of that formula, you're screwed, right? You have no way of thinking, oh, I'm going to enjoy it this generation. But Scarlet and Violet are finally the generations, oh my god, that changes. Because the formula is genuinely shaken up here. Fully open world, no random encounter Pokemon game. Not only does it serve the creature collector genre very, very well, because rather than having to blindly run through grass to find new things, not knowing if you found everything, because I like to go in these games blind. Well, most of them except Sun and Moon. Excuse me. Sun and Moon, there were all the leaks, and I pretty much knew what the whole dex was. But like Scarlet and Violet, I barely seen any of the Pokemon before I played the game. And in an open field like that, you can see what's out there, and you're like, wow. But in the old games, it was just a patch of grass. It was just, okay, here, oh, patch of grass, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what's in this route. I don't know what else there is to find. I'm just going to blindly run around a patch of grass until I find the 2% encounter on this route. And Sword and Shield, while they did a little bit to break up that formula because Pokemon appeared in the overworld, it wasn't perfect because a lot of Pokemon were still only encounterable in random encounters. Finally, they've done away with that. And that's the biggest strength of this game, is its open world and the Pokemon that inhabit it. It's amazing to run around a world, see Pokemon out there, and just be able to catch them, go basically wherever you want, no loading screens. It's awesome. If any of you old Minecraft people ever played Pixelmon, Pixelmon got killed a while ago due to copyright from Nintendo, and a lot of people speculated that it was because they were making a game similar to Pixelmon. And with the release of Legends Arceus and Pokemon Violet and Scarlet, I think we're finally seeing that come to fruition. These games, if you take out the elements of Minecraft, like building a house and all that, if you can forgive them not having that, although Legends Arceus did have resource gathering, if you can forgive them for getting rid of that, which I do because that's Minecraft, it's a different game, these are basically official Pixelmon games. All the Pokemon appear in the overworld. You can see shinies in the overworld. You can battle right in that spot on the overworld. Different Pokemon spawn in different areas and have different chances of spawning in different areas. There's gyms that you can go to. There's Pokemon centers that you can go to. As a Pixelmon nerd back in the day, it is exhilarating to see them come, to see the format come to a mainline Pokemon game. And I have been loving it so far. Now, it's not all good. As I mentioned earlier, they haven't adapted Arceus very well because from what I can tell, they were in development at the same time. So both things have ideas that kind of borrow from each other, and they also have things that are completely unique to them. One small example. In Legends Arceus, if a shiny Pokemon, if you're not a Pokemon fan, if anyone, all Pokemon have a 1 in usually like 4 or 8,000 chance of being a different color, and that's called a shiny. Now, in old games, you would just go into grass and, it would sparkle, and you're like, okay, cool. But there would be no way to see a shiny if you didn't go into the grass, unless you did like weird chaining methods in, I think, Oraz. In Legends Arceus, obviously there's that open world, so you can see the shinies in the world. But they also still make that sparkle. So if you miss it, or if you're flying high on a bird over the overworld, you see a sparkle down there, you go down, you grab it. The Pokemon Violet and Scarlet don't have that. You have to notice the shinies based on the coloring alone, which in some instances is okay. I have 2 shinies. I got another one over the course of the weekend, which is really cool, because I haven't gotten a shiny in a mainline Pokemon game since Black and White 2. But that one was easy because it was surrounded by his buddies, and I could see that it was a Bergmite. I could see he was darker than the rest of them, and I was like, oh, cool, it's a shiny. Now, with the other one I got, which was a spoiler Pokemon, so I won't say what it was. Not a spoiler Pokemon. A Pokemon that if people are still blind to this game, I won't spoil the name of. But I accidentally bumped into it because the hitbox of a certain vehicle that you can ride around is the size of a freaking school bus. And I just hit it on accident, and I was like, oh, no, that's annoying. And then it sparkled at me, and I was like, holy shit, that was a shiny. And I had gone off the beaten path just to look at a group of Pokemon. I didn't notice a difference from them. I was sitting pretty far away from the TV, and then it just sparkled, and I was like, holy cow. So there's just little things like the sparkling when they spawn, or when you see them, that just don't happen. It still happens when you go into the battle, but not when they spawn in the overworld, and I think that's just a bit annoying. Other things that they got rid of from Legends Arceus was just the overall flow of the game. Arceus felt so fluid and smooth, and turns didn't last that long, and battle was fast, and it all just felt really good. In Scarlet and Violet, there's a lot of pauses. There's a lot of waiting, loading, stuff like that, and it just kind of slows down the overall experience. Stats lowering takes longer. Everything just takes a little longer, and that's okay if you're an RPG fan. But once you get used to the fast-paced flow of Legends Arceus, you're like, okay, well, it's kind of annoying. Other things they got rid of was free-throwing Pokemon. In Legends Arceus, you could have your whole party, like, down here in the corner, and you could just throw them out wherever. You still can do that, but only with the first member of your party. And in Legends Arceus, you could throw Pokeballs in the overworld at a Pokemon, and they've done away with that. I think it would have helped the game so much more to just be a good creature collector if you were still allowed to just catch Pokemon in the overworld. See a little level 10, I don't want to go battle that and get a lower Pokemon so I don't kill it, and then I just want to throw a Pokeball at it, you know? But that's not like a huge deal. For being an evolution of Pokemon, it works. What doesn't work is the performance. And the performance issues have been huge in the game. Frame drops, camera glitches, camera stutters, the entire world just like breaking. In terms of glitches, I've been very lucky. My copy has been relatively glitch-free, aside from one of my Pokemon constantly sinking into the ground a little bit and just looking really weird. But I've been experiencing all the performance issues that everyone else has. It's really bad. Like, going into a town and dropping to 20 frames per second, the whole, like, physics of the game just slowing down, the game chugging, you can feel it. It's like, it doesn't feel good. They can fix it in patches, hopefully, but it's just kind of annoying to see that when the Switch is not the most capable console. I do think the Switch needs to be upgraded, but this is very clearly a case of the programming and the optimization of the game is the problem here. And Game Freak does have a history with being bad at optimizing video games. But I think that's like the main complaint that people have. Otherwise, I've seen mostly positive things. The story I've heard is good. I haven't finished it yet. But I've heard that that is good. It's not spoiled for me yet, thankfully. I'm still going in blind, so we'll see how that is. But just the gameplay. This game is not perfect. It's far from perfect. But it has allowed me to fall in love with Pokemon again in a way that I never thought I could. I play this game, and this is the first game I've played in such a long time where the hours just melt away when you play it. You could play it for 3 hours and just not know. And it's so nice to be just excited to pick up a Pokemon game again and go, okay, I'm going to catch this, or I'm going to go look for this. And it's only going to continue because I'm someone who really likes the competitive side of Pokemon. So once I finish the story, I'm going to start, like, looking for competitive guides. Or, not guides. I'm going to start, like, doing breeding for competitive. Or I'm going to make teams. In X and Y, which is my most played Pokemon game, I believe, I spend so long researching, like, Pokemon and see, oh, this one has a cool ability, like Chestnut. Found out that Chestnut had a protect move that made it so that it it damaged anyone who physically touched the shield. And I made an entire team around that, and that was fun. So I can't wait to do that for Scarlet and Violet. And the overworld being this open world traversal thing, where traversal is actually fairly fun. Exploration is fun. Finding items along the landscape is fun. It's going to make the gameplay loop just that much better, rather than old Pokemon games, which were fly, run around the grass. Like, the fun was had when the competitive battling started, whereas here the fun can start just by searching for Pokemon. Shiny hunting's improved. It's just, this really could be the best Pokemon game we've ever received. Besides Legends Arceus. If you ask me, I think Legends Arceus as a single-player experience was a little better. Obviously, because it didn't have multiplayer, it's not going to live up. I just think the overall gameplay flow was better in Arceus. But this is really good. If you are a Pokemon fan, or if you were a Pokemon fan and have waited for the formula to change a little bit before you come back, try this. I do have a few issues with how it's structured. Gyms aren't exactly do it whenever you want because they all have different levels that are kind of arbitrary and they're kind of scattered across the map, but it plays into the open world of it. If you go to a gym and they have level 60s, okay, I'll train up and I'll come back later. It's the non-linearity of it, and it's just great. Anyway, I think I've been rambling for far too long about something not related to Balisongs at all, but thank you all for listening. if you have listened this far. Let me know what you think of Scarlet and Violet, and maybe in the future I'll have to do community nights on stream, if I can figure out how to capture my Switch, that is, and we will like do battles or something. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go record the rest of this week's Blade Bias because I am not going to step foot in this apartment until like Sunday. So I'll see you guys on Thursday. Peace out, everyone. Later.